published reports yesterday. There was some TV reports yesterday that he had pulled out of the Jets. We don't know that that's official yet. And again, this can all be gamesmanship, folks. So until it happens, until these guys sign with teams, don't get hung up on that. You know, you'll hear rumors both ways. You'll hear that you hear that somebody's in love with the guy. You'll hear that they're negotiating. Then you'll hear that they pulled out. None of it is official until they take jobs. All right, that's it. Until you see the guys, when the guy signs, then that's it. When he announces that he's with a team, then you just scratch him and the team off. Until then, it's all gamesmanship. So you don't rule anybody completely out. You never know where these things are going. But there have been reports the last day that he's out, but it doesn't mean he's officially out. You know, there's a lot of gamesmanship that goes on here. Asher in Jersey, what's up, Asher?
Hey, Mike, just 2 points about the Chicago game.
Yeah.
First of all, over there towards the end of the game by the fourth and goal, Peterson called a timeout. And I don't know if anyone mentioned it, but he's taking a big chance because if he wouldn't have gotten it, losing that timeout would have been a major difference if he wouldn't have converted on that fourth down.
Listen, he was not playing it to kick. He did not play it to kick long. He played it where he was going for it. That was it. He was not playing it to get a field goal. There was even people talking about taking a field goal there and, then kicking long. They were not doing that. They were going for it right there, and they actually ran the same play that the Niners ran a million times with Montana and Clark. It's evidently the same play that he got it from them. It's actually handed down that long that they ran on fourth down.
Oh, well, I didn't know. That was before my times. Just a big one point about that long pass that what was a fumble and that whole crazy call at the end of the first half. Right. But I personally thought when I saw it that it should have been an incomplete pass, and that's because
it wasn't ruled an incomplete pass, so there was no argument there. It was ruled a fumble. It's just they came up with this obscure rule that I had never seen put into practice. That and listen, 100 times over, you blame the teams. You're in a playoff game. I don't care really if it's a preseason game. If there's a loose ball, go after the ball. Don't worry. Let them tell you that the ball's dead. Go get the ball. When the ball's on the field, go grab it. That's the first thing. You never know where it's going to take you. Dave in Selden, what's up, Dave?
Hey, Mike, I wanted to talk about that crazy play also. I think I can prove it, that the NFL totally made it up on the fly. Why did they waste 10 minutes? They didn't,
because it's published. I saw the published book. I saw where it's in the book, but it's like so deep buried in the book. I never even saw anybody. Hey, you had guys who were NFL, Super Bowl officials.
I had no clue.
Who didn't know the rule.
Mike, but here's the thing. Why did they waste 10 minutes reviewing the play if there's no clear recovery? Because, number one, if it's a catch, it goes back to the line of scrimmage. And if it's an incomplete pass, it goes back to the line of scrimmage.
I agree with you.
So why waste it up as they went
along. I totally agree with you about it. And then they sent River on out today to make sure everybody thought that they were on top of things. They were not on top of it. And to me, the rule they came up with, which they say was in the back of the rule book, okay, was in the back of the addendums of what can happen, although I'd never seen it, and you had guys who did Super Bowls who said they never saw it, okay? The bottom line is none of us had ever heard it, and they acted like, oh, yeah, we knew it all along. They did not. I mean, come on.
Absolutely no clue whatsoever.
And you can't make it up as you go along in these games. You can't do that.
It's Mike, let me ask you this. Did you know the rule? Because I had absolutely no clue.
No, I did not know that application of the rule. That I never heard that in my life. I asked guys who today, no one said that. I meet anybody yet who said they knew it.
And Mike,
no one has ever seen it.
And Mike, if the referee makes a mistake, calls it incomplete, how does the offense get penalized by that? That's another thing that I never understood. He calls it incomplete, it's a completed pass. You're really penalizing them. The guy made the catch, so for that ball to go back to the line of scrimmage, I think is totally
well. It's not nothing to do with the play on the field. They called it
incomplete.
No, complete. They called it a fumble.
No, but I'm talking about the initial call.
Yeah, but I know, but they overruled it and called it a fumble, and then said there is a rule.
My point is, how do they get penalized? They penalized the team.
They
overrule it, and then they put it back there. Then you're penalizing the team, and the guy makes a proper catch.
Well, what I'm saying is that they said that they knew this rule, which I don't believe they did. That since they didn't know what to do. Nobody grabbed the ball. So they didn't want to give the Bears the ball on the 4-yard line. But to me, the rule makes no sense. I look at a rule and say, all right, what is the practicality of the rule? What's the spirit of the rule? If he completes the pass there, the Bears are in possession of the ball. It's their ball. If they complete the play, it's still their ball. If he fumbled it out of bounds on the 4, it'd be their ball. If the defending team does not recover the ball, it should still be the Bears' ball on the 4-yard line. They should not be penalized because they did not recover a ball that was theirs. If the defensive team doesn't recover the ball, then it's still my ball. Andy in Tom's River, what's up, Andy? Yes, Andy.
Hey, Mike, how you doing?
Good.
I wanted to talk about the Carroll 2-point conversion, but I want to stick with this because there's one thing they said. I agree with you. If it was a catch and a fumble and there was no clear recovery, Chicago should keep the ball.
Correct.
But what they said at the end was because the ball didn't go out of bounds, then it's ruled,
They said that if the ball doesn't go, and that's why they
but Mike, by the ref picking up the ball, doesn't that consume like a dead ball right there?
Listen, I think the ball should have been by every merit the Bears' ball on the 4-yard line.
Yeah, definitely. What do you think about Pete Carroll going for 2 points?
He had no field goal kicker.
All right, so Mike, let me ask you this then. I agree with that, but now let's say they recover onside kick and drive the ball down to the 10-yard line, 1 play to go. What are they doing?
They're throwing it in the end zone. They're throwing it in the end zone.
All right, then I agree with it. All right.
No, they were throwing the ball in the end zone. They said they were. They said they were going to go to the end zone on any play. They couldn't kick it.
Otherwise it wouldn't make sense.
Their kicker could not kick field goals.
You don't have a plan in place in case your kicker gets hurt? I mean, usually they got some kind of backup kicker.
Hey, if they had gotten down to the 6-yard line, they might have said to him, can you kick it? And he might have said yes. But they weren't going to try a field goal unless they had to. Or an extra point unless they had to. So they went for 2, and they figured, you know what, we'll go for broke here. And I understand why you bring up the 2 points, because that 2 points obviously impacted the point spread everywhere. Which, if it had been a 1 versus 2, it affected everybody on the point spread. They don't make it, they do make it. They get 1 versus 2. It changes everything. I understand that. Some people lost on the Cowboys because of that. Not everybody, because people had the Cowboys from -1 all the way to 2.5. So, depending on where you were, what day of the week. Neil in Jersey. What's up, Neil?
Hey, Mike. How you doing? Thanks for taking my call, as always.
What's happening?
A comment and a question for you. Great win for my Eagles. It was a fantastic game.
Yes.
Listening to your opening about Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, it's a really stark compare and contrast between Lamar Jackson's immaturity and nervousness and Nick Foles' sort of calm, steady presence as the quarterback in the huddle. I mean, as you mentioned many times, you could tell winning players right away. And that was a really stark contrast. Not only the fact that Lamar Jackson and Flacco apparently, have no communication, but also Foles and Wentz do.
Well, you could tell that Flacco was basically, for a guy who had won a Super Bowl there and been there a long time, he was basically a guy who had no connection to anybody on that team. He sat there by himself. He was basically off by himself during the game. I mean, the coach never talked to him. It seemed like when he tried to talk to Lamar Jackson during the game, Lamar Jackson didn't want to listen to him, didn't even want to look at him. So
you could tell in the beginning when Jackson's always had a bit of a cocky ego. And even when he was drafted, he said, I'm waiting for my Super Bowl. So I think you could clearly see that from the beginning.
Well, listen, he played completely scared yesterday.
Absolutely.
He wasn't ready for the game. That's all. He wasn't ready. It's first playoff game. He had butterflies.
Absolutely. I'm just curious to hear your thoughts on this. Let's say Nick Foles goes to the Saints and wins, and let's say he plays well in the championship game, NFC Championship, but loses. Or they said, make it to a Super Bowl, and he plays well and loses.
Right.
Is there a quarterback controversy then in Philadelphia, and would there be a chance that
I think there is.
Roseman would trade away Wentz?
Now, I have been told, I already asked the question to somebody who knows them well, and they said there's no controversy.
In favor of Wentz or in favor of Foles?
In favor of Wentz. That's what I was told. Now, that was I was told last week. Now, you gave a scenario that escalates it even worse, but I was told it's still Wentz's team. That's what I was told. I asked somebody who knows them well, and they said it's still Wentz's team. Tom in Verona, what's up, Tom?
Hey, what's up, Mike? How are you?
What's happening?
Mike, a long time Colts fan since they go all the way back to Baltimore.
Yep.
I can't tell you, I'm tickled to death.
You have to be.
Getting Quentin Nelson, the difference he's made. He reminds me, now I'm almost 50 years old, so I can remember John Hanna.
John Hanna.
He reminds me a little bit of John Hanna. I want to get your thoughts.
That's as high a compliment as you can pay a guard. John Hanna was one of the greatest pulling guards in the history of the sport. This guy, last year, okay, Schrager comes on this show all the time. Who's a very good young reporter for Fox. Yeah. That's why I like him. Okay, he said at the draft last year, and he was on the draft day. He said a guy told him that Quentin Nelson, write it down, will be in the Hall of Fame. Now,
wow.
He said that before his year to have a guard impact a team the way he impacted this team.
Yeah, Mike, they gave up 56 sacks last year.
And right now you can't touch him. You can. What he did to Clowney. Clowney's a free agent, and Clowney's going to get a lot of money. Clowney better hope no one sees the tape of what Quentin Nelson did to him. It was unbelievable.
He flipped Clowney over at one point.
He not only flipped him over, he pancaked him and then flipped him over and pancaked him again.
Well, earlier in the year when the Colts played the Jaguars, they went against Malik Jackson, who was a Pro Bowler. By the fourth quarter, Jackson gave up in that game. He just kept killing him. He was
Nelson is on right now. They might have, with that running game and that quarterback, they might have the best offensive line in the sport the way they're playing right now. And you've gone from you couldn't protect Luck to now they won't let anybody near Luck. I mean, and you give Luck time, you're going to have a hard time stopping him. I don't think anybody plays the quarterback position any better. You could tell me you can play it as well. You can't play it better. Nobody plays it better. Case in High Point, New Jersey, what's up?
Hey, Mike, thanks for taking a call.
What's happening?
So obviously with the head coaching position, it's such a unique job. Can you lend any insight to what's actually discussed in an interview room like that?
Absolutely. I mean, it's very obvious. You go in, and the interview is an incredibly important thing. All right, now you might have a pre-meeting with a McCagnon, or you might start with both of them. Now you got the big meeting though. You got McCagnon, you got the owner in the meeting. Okay, so now you are going to have a plan of, number one, your assessment of the team's personnel. You are going to have what your plan is offensively, what your plan is defensively, what your plan is incorporating new people into the personnel that is already there, and your staff. Talk about what kind of staff you're going to have, what you believe. Not only that, how much your staff's going to get paid, how much your coordinators are going to take down, what it takes to get guys here, what are your fallback positions if you can't get certain guys on the staff. All this stuff is in the meeting. All of it. Sometimes it can take 7-8 hours, these meetings. And that's where you get the job, or you don't. And you learn how to interview for the job. It's not always the first time. I know guys who have told me I did a bad job the first time I went in there. I didn't know. Or there's been times where you had a case where the Steelers were interviewing Tomlin as a favor. And when they got him in the meeting room, they said he's our head coach. Nobody even knew him. So it happens. I mean, guys do that. Raheem Morris did the same thing. So you get guys sometimes, and that's why the Rooney Rule works. Because when people say, this team has a guy and they interview a token black guy because they have to, that's true. It does happen. Because that's the rule. But while the rule is a good thing, is because it puts other guys in front of owners. And those guys wind up being guys who steal jobs. And they go, whoa, I didn't hire this guy this time, but this guy was unbelievable. And the word of mouth, or they remember him for next time, or whatever. It gets them on the wheel. It gets them in front of the guys who are going to hire, and that's why it is a good thing. And yes, it is sometimes a show, because somebody's decided if you are going to make it where every time you must interview a minority candidate, there are times where guys have their guy. So if they still have to interview other people, it is a show. No matter who they interview, it's a show. But it's still not a negative thing, because they might say, wow, I interviewed this guy. He was unbelievable. And that gets somebody a job. One owner might have an owner that he's close to in the other conference who's not a threat, and says, hey, you got to go talk to this guy, or there's whatever. The bottom line is, it's a small league, and if you can get candidates in front of the decision makers, that's a positive any day of the week. We're coming to you live from the Town Fair Tire Studios, powered by Town Fair Tire. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody.